Hello, this is Dread from Last Epic Builds, and today's video topic is going to be a community showcase build. Yes, I haven't done one of these in a while, so we're going to be showcasing McMagic's Crit Wolfpack Beastmaster build. Take it away, McMagic.
Thanks, Dread. So, for this build, it's really about kind of hybrid between you and your wolves. So with this one, you're doing both crit for you and your wolves, so because of that, aspect of the links is really important, where you're getting 100% uptime on a whole lot of crit chance and a whole lot of crit multiplier. And then along with just a whole lot of physical damage and leech as well, which will keep you and your wolves alive. One of the things this patch that's made it way stronger than in the past is the addition of these minion health regen affixes, which basically make your wolves unkillable. And then if you add on a tier 5 minion melee crit chance affix on your chest, they will get 100% crit chance as well with this build. So all of that leads to a lot of survivability and a lot of damage.
And what do you think the strengths of the build is?
There's basically no drop off at any point in the content. So like campaign, early monoliths, empowered monoliths, arena, it's super versatile and easy to farm fast. And it's pretty safe too with the leech. And if you ever do get into a spot where maybe you're fighting a boss you're not too familiar with, you can kind of let your wolves do some work while you take a break and just watch the boss mechanics. So it's pretty good for learning too.
And what are some of the issues you've seen while playing this build?
Basically any issue that you get with the companion or pet AI. Wolf AI is actually different than the rest, so it's better in a lot of situations than other pets, but it still does get a bit wonky sometimes, so you just got to be aware of that.
And what is the most necessary thing you need to get this build to start functioning properly?
For like early and mid game, you gotta just get a weapon that has flat damages on it, and then once you basically want your wolves to start doing a lot of damage, you've got to get first the tier 5 added minion melee crit on your chest piece, preferably a 8% roll. And once you get that, then your minions just kind of take off.
And of course,
you also will need this unique amulet. Either the Fang or the Talon, I think, is the lower level version.
And of course, you definitely want the minion health regen affixes, right?
Yeah, those you don't quite need until later. Like even right now, I only have 2 out of 3, and I've been doing empowered monolith no problem. So really, until you get to empower, you only need 1 tier 5 minion health regen, which you can get on your relic belt or helmet.
All right, and what are your favorite things about the build?
I like how there's basically like the hybrid function for pets. I know a lot of people kind of say they don't like pets or minions because they feel like they don't do any of the work. But with this one, you're kind of forced to do a lot of the work as well. Really, the damage is pretty split 50 and 50 between you and your pets. So that plus the ability for you to be melee and still do bosses without it being a horrible experience is pretty fun.
And how have the Beastmaster buffs in general with the endurance stuff affected this build?
The endurance is cool because you can kind of hybrid the endurance and endurance threshold with the less damage taken on low health nodes in Primalist. So the moment you get to like that 35% low health threshold, you just get like insanely tanky. So it'll look like you're going to die, but it's so hard for you to die.
All right, and that's pretty much it for the intro today. We're going to move into the skills. McMagic, thank you for coming around.
Yeah, so...
oh, wait.
For the Summon Wolf tree, it's a super important tree, which is why I get 2 extra affixes from the Summon Wolf affix on your helmet. So first you're going to come over and take 2 points in Savage Hunters, so you can get to Tundra Stalkers. Take 3 points there. Get 1 point in Stormborn, all basically just rushing Pack Hunters as fast as you can so you can get the extra wolf. Then after that, I like to take On the Hunt for attack and move speed. Legendary Bite, which is probably the strongest or second strongest node in this tree. It gives you 75% more melee crit chance for your wolves. So basically, once you get them up to about 60% crit chance, this gets them all the way up to 100. And then you want a few points in Wolf in Recovery. Like I mentioned in the intro, the health regen for minions on the new affixes is insanely strong. And with 150%, they're basically unkillable. If you ever do need to make them tankier, you can always just take a point out of On the Hunt or Tundra Stalkers and put them and get more health regen here. So moving on then to Warcry. You get a point in the invulnerability after Warcry, and then over to Berserk. Max out Brutality and Fury Strikes. This is what makes your character just do an insane amount of damage, especially on bosses. Then we'll come up here and get some Staggering Roar just so we can get Apprehend, which pulls them in. It just helps you stack your Berserk faster and more reliably. Come over here and kind of go down this line so we can get to Shallow Breath just for the 50% cooldown reduction. And then come down this line here so that we can get Raging Frenzy for Frenzy on hit. So basically when you Warcry, everything gets drawn to you, you have Frenzy, and then you just start stacking your Berserk to go ham. The Swipe tree is probably the most important tree. You're going to want to get a few points in Way of the Hunt so you get to max out Wingarian Reach for the area. Then you come down, grab Aspect of the Panther so you can get Wild Calling. This is probably one of the most overlooked nodes in the skill tree. It makes up for single target half of your swipe damage and really all of your clear in monoliths. Then you'll come down, grab a point in Feline Hunter, 3 in Ambush, and then max out Apex Predator for the crit multiplier. With any extra points, I'll probably just put them in Way of the Hunt for a bit more multiplicative damage, and Health Leech is always nice. Moving on to Frenzy Totem. I like taking 5 points in Grounded just for more melee damage for myself. Then I'll get the Tether and put points in both Tether range and Dig Deep, which is just crit chance. You can play around with exactly how you like these points. Get a bigger tether to give you a little bit more freedom in a fight or not. And then I'll come up here, get 2 points in Rapidity just so I can get 5 points in Bestial Frenzy, which is just a whole bunch of companion damage for the wolves. And then the last skill I'm using right now is Tornado. I come over just to grab the instant cast, and then you want Aspect of the Storm, and then this is why you take Tornado as Storm Dervish. It gives you 21% attack speed along with the 10% move speed from Aspect of the Storm. With 4 points in Swift Wings, you get 100% uptime, and then the rest you throw in the mana efficiency and mana regen. So those are all of the skills for this build. For passives, we'll start out with the Primalist base class. I'll take max out Primal Strength and Survival of the Pack. That's just damage for you and your minions, more damage, and also the Damage Leech. 5 points in Hunter's Restoration for that 10% increased health is really nice. And then with the last point in the under 20 line, I just throw it in Gift of the Wilderness, but if you want to dual wield, take that point out and put it in Harmony of Blades. And then over the 20 limit line, I'll put 5 points in Berserker. It just synergizes really well with the new endurance mechanic that they've implemented. So then, moving on to Beastmaster, we're going to get the vast majority of our points. Like basically all Beastmasters, we'll max Ursine Strength, go into Boar Heart, Whoreson Constitution, and Primal Strength. This is just a whole lot of damage reduction built into being melee, and it's pretty amazing. Then down here, we'll take 1 point in Savagery just so we can get up to Lamprey Teeth. Gives you and your minions a ton more leech. Take 1 point in Ambush, 5 in Rending Claw, and then 3 in Hunters of the Deep. The point of this is it gives you 100% uptime for you and your minions to have 100% Armor Shred, which essentially is multiplying your damage by almost double. Then some other ones are Axe and Claw, just good damage for you and your minions. Take 1 point in Life of the Wilderness, just so that your companions get your endurance threshold. 8 points in Cry of the Lynx, important. It gives you and your minions the crit strike chance, and it makes it last longer. That 8 seconds, when paired with 3 points in Primal Aspects, gives you 100% uptime on the Aspect of the Lynx buff before your Howl comes back off cooldown. So you never have to worry about not having this buff up. You can see it just barely makes it. And then 1 point in Force of Nature for an extra wolf. And then you'll max out when you get enough points Ancient Might. And then in the Shaman tree, these 8 points in Shamanic Infusion is just a really good splash for damage for you and your companions. With this character, I have 10 more passive points left. I'm going to come in, max out my Ancient Might, max out my Life in the Wilderness, and then probably throw one more, the last point in Hunters of the Deep, just for a bit more duration on that buff.
Perfect. All right.
In terms of your gear, there's actually a lot of versatility with idols until you get the kind of the GG ones. So right now I'm just running 4 basically increased minion crit strike multiplier chance. With these 4, my wolves have 100% crit chance right now. If you got slightly better rolls, you can replace some of these with minion attack speed, which are also really powerful. Even if you don't have these, you can easily substitute them for minion attack speed. Eventually, you're going to want to get ones, though, that have increased Aspect of the Lynx effect as a prefix, and then suffix will have, there's a few different things, but a really good one is shared melee damage with you and your companions. But right now I don't have any of those. Moving on from idols, you've got your weapon, which you're going to want to get the maxed roll melee crit strike chance. That just helps you get up close to 100% crit. And then a melee physical damage as well. Those are the 2 most important affixes for your weapon. The suffix, I like to get increased minion melee damage and either armor shred or chance to chill on hit. Both are really good options. Moving on to the helmet, for the prefix, really the most important thing is you want a tier 5 of that plus to summon wolf. Other than that, you're going to want to just make sure that you fill in with whatever you need to cap your reses and get endurance threshold usually. You're going to want the unique, the Fang, or if you're a lower level, the Claw is the alternative to that. But once you get a Fang, you should upgrade to the Fang. It gives your wolves more damage, they can't be stunned, and they allow you to summon your wolves up to your max number of companions. If you don't have that, when you come over to the skills, you'll just take a point out somewhere else and put it in safety and numbers, and it's not a big deal. Coming down to your chest piece, this is one of the most important affixes for the build. You want to get that plus 8% added minion melee crit chance. It's a very rare affix, so you should have the loot filter set up to highlight every single piece of gear that drops with that so you can shatter it down. Other than that, like this one, I've just kind of filled in what I could around it. For your rings, I like having endurance threshold and then basically whatever I need for resistances. If I have extra stuff, I usually just throw it in strength. The belt, you're going to want minion health regen. The same can go for the helm as a prefix, but since you're already getting your summon wolf, it's a little bit more difficult to get a high summon wolf and a minion health. So the belt, it's a really good place to get your minion health starting out. Minion health regen. For the ring, the other one, this one's pretty good. It's got the tier 6 endurance threshold. It also has increased minion health, which is a really nice affix to get, just to make it so your minions don't get one-shot your wolves. Down here on gloves, increased melee attack speed's good for helping you stack Warcry a lot faster, that Berserk buff. Endurance threshold, of course, and then I also like getting, it's called Aspect of the Giant, which is your hybrid health on that, which you can also get on the belt, which is really good. I just don't have it right now. The boots, you want to get your movement speed and then that hybrid health are your two priorities there. And then on your relic, you want to get this base because it adds flat damage to you and your minions. So this base is really important for the build. And then the minion health regen and swipe. This swipe isn't quite as important to get to tier 5. So I prioritize minion health regen tier 5 over swipe tier 5 on this one. That is the summary of the gearing. So when you start leveling this build, it's really similar to what the final one looks like. You're going to start just maxing out all of your primal strength. Then you come over, get these 2 points in Hunter's Restoration, and then the 6 here in Survival of the Pack. And then cap your Hunter's Restoration, and then just throw 1 point in either the Dual Wield or Gift of the Wilderness. And then you can either now just take the 5 points here, because usually you get a few more passive points before you pick your mastery, so you could fill those in now. Then when you come over to Beastmaster, I like Ursine Strength because it gives you the strength and some damage reduction. So I usually take 5 points there and 1 point in Savagery. Cap those out and then get one in this Boar Heart. Come over and get a few more in Lamprey Teeth. Essentially, we're just getting strength, damage, and leech is really the goal. Once I have those points, I'll come and get enough in Boar Heart so that you can start taking this a point in Porcine Constitution. That one brings you up to Axe and Claw. So I'll grab those 5 and then I'll come back down, fill in a few more here, and you just kind of work your way up, taking a lot of things that have the strength. Once you get here, then you're going to want to start putting in Lynx points, and the moment you get your extra companion, make sure you take that as well. That'll be a nice boost of damage for your character.
And by now, you should be able to just follow the rest of the tree that is provided in the link as well. So that's pretty much it for the skill, the passive.
This one doesn't require like any respecs or anything. It's pretty straightforward. As you work your way up, you just grab some points. It's pretty good. Pretty easy to do.
All right, now skills.
So for skills, I usually specialize Summon Wolf first because you get your first spec before Swipe is unlocked. So with Summon Wolf, I'll always just come over, take some damage, and then some more flat damage just moving left in the tree. Get 1 point here in Stormborn, and then 1 point in Pack Hunters. You get your extra wolf here, which is really nice. And then after that, just take points in On the Hunt, 1 point in Howl of Might, and then 1 point in the Safety in Numbers. So now you're summoning up to your wolf companion limit, and you'll have usually 4 wolves at this point, which is when you get your master. A little bit after you get your mastery, which is really nice. And then the second one, this is what the really first deviation between the final build and leveling. Well, you get swipe second, which isn't any different. Just take the area, and you want wild calling as fast as you can. So once you get these, your swipe will be doing a ton of damage. The difference is Summon Sabertooth is actually a really strong companion in campaign and early on in Monolith. It will fall off in Monolith, but for campaign you want to get this flat damage here and this one. You want to max out the flat damage, get this 40% multiplicative damage, and then just a whole bunch of attack speed. And that one usually too. And that puts your Sabertooth in a really strong spot, and its active ability, that claw attack, is really strong, so I like to use it constantly during campaign. Every time he steps up to a rare monster or something with a big health pool, tap that claw and you'll just watch their health melt. After that, you could either go with Warcry or Frenzy Totem. I'll probably do Warcry just because I like the new ability. It functions pretty cool, sounds cool. And you're just going to want to get these Berserk nodes as fast as you can.
All right, and when do you dump Sabertooth?
I'll dump Sabertooth usually when you can summon 5 wolves. So in your passive tree, when you get up to the Force of Nature and you have either the unique amulet or your safety in numbers, that's when I'll dump Sabertooth.
All right, and then what kind of gear should you be looking for while you're leveling up?
Usually I just look for either one hands if I'm going dual wield or a 2-hand. I generally like to just do 2-hand so I can look at less items. I don't have to spend as much time doing inventory management. And for that, I'll just look for usually 2 flat damage prefixes and just as high of a base flat damage. Because I found in campaign flat damage seems to be king before you can really start building that crit up. So it's not until Monolith that I'll start trying to convert over to a crit build. Which that usually comes once you start putting your points in Aspect of the Links and get that kind of capped out. And once you start putting some points down here in your Ambush and Apex Predator for swipe, where you can start actually getting that crit chance and crit multiplier.
All right, and I think that's good.